Work matters to me, my friendships matter to me, my family matters to me, but my values matter to me. Those things are still at the forefront of my life. I'm still attracted to men and I'm open to meeting a partner, but if I meet someone, he'll be aligned with the life that I've already built, and definitely not the other way around. Now,
what's up, guys? It's JQ. If you spent any time around women, you know that most of them would like to have a guy who is hot, tall, rich, successful, sexy, fun, takes them out on great dates, buys them great gifts. Basically, they'd like the complete package in a man. Things that there's two problems with this. One, there aren't enough men like that to go around for every girl that would like to have one. And number two, even more importantly, women don't take the time to learn what would be important to the type of man that they'd like to be with. And even more so, a lot of them don't even care. Enter the world of female TikTok and Instagram dating influencers. And this is a hugely popular segment of the internet, as you've seen in some of my other videos. The reason this is so appealing is that it basically plays on this female fantasy of finding the one. And so these girls make these accounts where they go out looking for the one, but it basically just consists of them going on hundreds and hundreds of first, second, third, and fourth dates, and usually never finding the guy that they want, which is great for growing on Instagram because it creates this perpetual story. But they kind of put themselves in this trap because if they were to ever find their husband or the guy they really want to be with, then their page, what would they talk about on Instagram anymore? And secondly, men of any value are going to prefer that the woman that they pick not be a social media star, because there's a lot of problems that come along with that. Enter Dr. Sid, an up-and-coming social media influencer for dating, and she creates posts of herself getting ready for dates and talking about the men that she goes on dates with. And this is all kind of a ruse for her to make affiliate marketing income on different makeup products that she uses. No harm in that, totally fine with it. But let's take a look at some of the things on Dr. Sid's page and some of her videos and see what we can learn and how she plays into the common problem that plagues most of these women.
the neurosurgeon, the matchmaker set us up. I'm just looking to see tonight if we have a physical connection. I'm going in open-minded. I'm not sure if I can get there, but I think he's an awesome person and we've had such great conversations and I'm excited to see.
I'm gonna pause it right there for a second. Physical attraction can never grow. It doesn't grow. Your chemistry is either there or it isn't. A woman is either attracted to you or she's not. And if she is talking like this, like she's gonna give it a chance. So she's saying this because the guy has other qualities, most notably, he's a neurosurgeon, so he's rich. So she wants to give it a chance, but she's not gonna get there because that's just not how it works. So there's no point in them even going out in the first place because she's not attracted to him.
See him. I'm coming back from work and just don't have a ton of time. Tonight, I guess I'm just looking to see if there's any sparks or anything where I go, this is interesting. I could see how we would be.
She's already been out with this guy. This is the second date, so she already knows the answer to this question. So this is all just a complete waste of time.
Physically compatible. As much as I wish I could just pretend that the physical doesn't matter at all, I'm still a human being and that is important. You want to be attracted to your partner. I don't want to force anything and I want whatever I have to be healthy and mutual. I have like 10 minutes. Oh my gosh. I don't really have any time to do anything with my hair. I'm gonna pull it back and try and do something cute. I did a high pony. I feel like I like this. I don't know. I'm not feeling that pretty tonight. This is the final look. I'm gonna wear this little jacket. Dude, I wear this a lot. This is such a good staple.
All right, so now we get a sense for Dr. Sid, or Sydney as her name is. And she mentions in this video as well that she was set up by a matchmaker. So typically when women use a matchmaker, it's because they want to meet a guy who's rich. And I've got news for her, but she's unlikely to meet a guy who is super rich and meets all the check marks on her list. And the reason for it is that she falls into this very common category of women who just have unrealistically high expectations. So she's using a matchmaker because she'd like to find a guy who's rich and, you know, she may be able to find one, but she's gonna have to make a trade-off somewhere else. Like she mentioned in this video, the guy isn't that good looking or she doesn't feel that attracted to him physically or something about his vibe isn't making him all that attractive. And that's gonna be the trade-off. Why do I say that? Because she herself is not a 10 out of 10. She's a little bit above average looking but kind of average to slightly above average. She's cute, okay? She's not beautiful or gorgeous or a model. She's cute. We can also see in some of her other photos and videos here that she's not in especially great shape. You know, she's got a few extra pounds. She doesn't carry it super well. Okay, now she's not overweight or anything like that. I'm not slamming her. What I'm saying is that she's not a 10 out of 10. She's like a 6 out of 10. So her options in dating are going to be with men who are around that same level. Now, a guy could be good looking, but in that case, he may not be that rich, or he could be really rich. In that case, he may not be that good looking. She's not going to get both because a guy who is hot and a neurosurgeon has access to all the women. And so he's just not going to pick her because she's not special enough. And that's just the reality of the situation. And there's nothing wrong with it. This is just how dating and attraction in the marketplace works. The problem is that women like her think that they deserve, or think that they can get a guy who's a 10 out of 10. They think they can get this kind of like billionaire, sexy, hot, tall guy. And they have deluded themselves into thinking that because at some point they probably slept with a guy like that. And they believe that means that they can get into a relationship with one, but they won't be able to because those guys have too many options. The fact that she's a dentist would be appealing to a guy who makes around the same money as her, because together they can have an upper middle to upper class lifestyle with their combined income. But the neurosurgeon, multimillionaire guys, that doesn't really matter. Her job and the fact that she's well paid isn't going to matter to guys above a certain income threshold.
I get confused when I say that I'm decentering men. It doesn't mean that I don't want a partner. What I mean is I don't revolve my life around them. My work.
So decentering men is this concept. I had to look this up when I started seeing this posted on the internet. It's this idea of actually women trying to make themselves less attractive to men because they don't want to invite men into their life. I think it's just another ploy for attention, just done in a different way.
Work matters to me, my friendships matter to me, my family matters to me, but my values matter to me. Those things are still at the forefront of my life. I'm still attracted to men and I'm open to meeting a partner, but if I meet someone, he'll be aligned with the life that I've already built, and definitely not the other way around. Now,
this is definitely not going to work. At least not if she's looking to meet a guy who is kind of up there in terms of his success and his attractiveness. Guys that are at the top of the male hierarchy look for a woman who's going to fit into his life, and definitely not the other way around. There are guys out there who are willing to enter into a woman's frame, but he's not going to be rich and hot and cool and all those things. He's going to be more of a simpy beta guy. Those are the type of guys that are willing to enter into a woman's frame, which is what she just described. The thing is that women like her, they don't understand how their choices affect the outcomes. No wonder she can't find a guy that she's fully attracted to, because she's not doing what she needs to do to find that type of man. She doesn't know what's appealing to that type of man, nor she seem like she's willing to do it. And I thought this was kind of interesting. There's one other video I wanted to check out, which is her, she's talking about this other date that she went out with a Dubai guy. First of all, like, going out with the Dubai guy, I think is a complete waste of time for someone like her. But what's also interesting is what the reveal that she does at the end for going out on a girls' night. So we've seen how she's kind of gets dressed for her dates, right? And in some of them, she dresses a little bit more conservative, long dresses, form-fitting, but you know, a little bit longer. And I'll see how she dresses for her girls' night out.
So I chose me. Let's talk about Dubai guy while we get ready for girls' night. Dubai guy and I went on a 4th date, which in my opinion went super well. But we did bring up some conversations about cultural differences. Like, for example, he says with his religion, he can't have a dog. He was never allowed to have one growing up. That would be a deal breaker for me. We really started to lay these things out. What can we both align on? What would be an issue? And just start to have like a more in-depth conversation if we're going to continue to see each other.
First of all, so women have all of these really silly like deal breakers that their ick lists, their deal breakers and stuff, and it's going to be like, he needs to be open to having a dog, he needs to have kids, he needs to not want to have kids, he needs to do this, he needs to do that. As a guy, you just want to avoid falling into these deal breaker traps at this point. They shouldn't be talking about these kinds of things. Those are you shouldn't be talking about how compatible you are for long-term relationship until you've established that there's connection and chemistry between you. So I can guarantee you that she hasn't slept with Dubai guy, and he's taking her out on these dinner dates, and he's hoping that it'll turn physical, and he's trying to like assert himself. And I think it's probably he's just not very experienced with women, and that's why it's coming out in this way. Like, he thinks that he's just trying to be, that he's showing dominance by like asserting his belief system, but in reality she's just like, whatever, I've got like 6 other guys texting me, so I'll just go out the next one if you don't like dogs, which is a silly thing to break up over.
Ultimately says, yeah, he could compromise on a dog. He's always wanted a dog. And then there's some other small things we talked about. We have a great time, and for the time being, we're very neutral, and we feel like we can both compromise a little bit. I go home, and the next day I get a call from him saying that he needs to tell me something. And so I call him back, and he basically said, hey, I just want to be upfront. Like, I really respect you, and I'm going to be honest, I'm never going to have a dog. And that was kind of like the breaking point of all the things. So basically, for everything we had talked about that I would compromise on, perfect. Anything that we had talked about that he would have to compromise on, he basically on this phone call tells me he can't compromise. And he gives me this ultimatum saying, you get to decide if this is going to work for you or not, but that's it. He's way more strict than he let on. So at this point, I'm absolutely recognizing this for what it is. Zero flexibility on his end. And then he made comments. He said, remember, if this doesn't work out, it's because you weren't being flexible.
And I'll add to that that when a woman is like really into you, after you're having sex with her and after you've established that there's a lot of connection and chemistry, you'll be surprised how flexible she suddenly will become on a lot of different things. This includes political beliefs, beliefs on having children. When she's into you, she will mold herself to you. So everything that she said is just essentially a screen that is screening out weak men. And that's what I want you to take away from this video. Women have all of these smoke screens, barriers, deal breakers and stuff, and it's just to screen out the weak men. As we're gonna see, this guy's gonna get upset, and so he failed the test.
So obviously, this is not going to happen. I sent him this long message saying, no, this is not going to work for me. I think you're a great person. This just doesn't align. I end things. And he says, I respect you. I understand your decision. The next day, I get a text from him, and this text is in invisible ink, and it's a super inappropriate text message. I honestly looked at that and said, what is going on? I'm starting to feel like the men that I'm dating, when they reach their emotional depth and can't go further, they turn physical.
Not really. I can tell you what's going on here. And basically, this guy was going out on dates with her, taking her out to fancy places, not getting any sex with her. And so he was getting frustrated. And because he probably didn't have enough skill with women to actually escalate things and get her into bed. He hasn't learned that yet. And so his frustrations was coming out in the form of getting into an argument about whether or not they could have a dog in a relationship that they're not even in. You see how messed up that is? These types of conversations should not be happening at all until much later on when you're already connected to her and you're like actually talking seriously about life in the future. Right now at this stage of dating, things should just be fun and flirty and hot and sexy. That's your objective as a man. And I guarantee you, even though she's coming on here saying how she has all these barriers and rules and blah, 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 I can assure you that she is open to having a good time with the right pure person.
It's like they're using physical intimacy to replace emotional depth. That is not something I'm interested in.
And you know what? She would be interested in receiving this type of message from the right kind of guy. If she was already sleeping with them and already having like hot, passionate sex with him, then she would be totally on board with receiving a steamy text message. This was not a good idea for this guy. You never send a girl a message like that when you don't already have physical intimacy with her. So that was a bad idea. But basically, he knew that he had lost control of the situation. And so this was just him expressing his frustrations and knowing that he could at least like send her this type of message without her probably calling the police.
I also don't do conditional love. I'll only love you if you do what I say. Absolutely not. Anyway, I will not be seeing him again, but I need this girls' night tonight. We're going to a concert and we're about to be late.
I just wanted to point out how much more risque she is dressed for her girls' night out than she is for her dates. She's dressed a lot more promiscuously. It looks like she's kind of exposing her thong or something, or at least has some straps here by her hips. That's a lot more. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm just pointing out that there's a difference between how she dresses to go out for girls' night versus how she dresses to go out for dates. And you can understand why, but of course at girls' night, of course there's going to be men there, and of course there's going to be men hitting on her there. So it's just interesting to observe.
Let's go.
Guys, the takeaway is you don't want to end up like one of these guys who's taking her out on a bunch of dates and has nothing to show for it. Learn to attract women the right way, improve your vibe so that they are naturally drawn to you. And then you will have the choice over the type of women that you want to be with. Now, someone like her, it's hard to say. She might be too much work to even be worth going out with, but you'd be surprised. A lot of these women will come around the moment they encounter a man of strength. So if you'd like to learn more about how to do that, book a call with me and we can chat more one-on-one. Other value propositions, take a look at my free newsletter. There's a link to sign up for that in the description below. Thanks, guys. I will see you in the next video.